Alright everyone, we're nearing the end.
ここはボーダーラインじゃなくてフロントラインだった。失敗した。そんなことを間違えてちゃ、そりゃ肩も重くなる。
She rotates her shoulders casually. It's like a baseball game. All the bases are loaded with none out of the ninth inning, and the batting order is from the second player. If you allow even 1 point, say bye-bye to your trophy. The pitcher had been given undivided attention towards protecting the team, but her spirits are brought up high again, ready to throw one right past the batter.
にしても多すぎるか。負ける気はしないけど、さすがに取りこぼしは出るし。よし、いざとなったらはしごと沈めよ
う。待て待て、調子が戻ったのはいいが、やりすぎだ。橋を壊せば収拾がつかなくなるぞ。連中は単純だからな。橋が落ちれば川を渡って信徒になだれ込む。だが橋がある限りはバカ正直にここだけを通り抜けるさ。
分かってるわよ。景気づけに行ってみただけだってば。
She clicks her tongue in dissatisfaction. It's as if she wants to say that destroying 1 or 2 bridges would make for a nice view.
まったく、そういうところが徹底的なんだ、君は。半年では淑女のたしなみも身につかなかったか。
生まれついてのものですから。そっちだって一言多いのは治ってないじゃない。
私のは人に合わせてのものだ。今はたまたま忠告しがいのあるマスターと契約したものでね。
それは奇遇ね。私もたまたま小言を多くするのと縁を作っちゃってさ。
She breaks out into a smile at this pointless exchange. In the middle of the bridge, directly underneath them, the corpses march on. This is the last opportunity to start the battle.
オーケー。付き合ってくれる？アーチャー。
ああ。サーバントはマスターに従うもの。これでようやく。最後に加減なしで戦えるというものだ。
The red cloak appears. As a symbol of fighting for her, the bowman displays the holy shroud. Needless to say, there is a deeper significance to the armament. The red symbol is used only on proper battlegrounds when there is a master worth serving. Nostalgia that ought to have been forgotten long ago burns in his chest once more. For just one moment, for a moment that will last until the break of dawn, he is back to the self that used to stay at her side.
バカ。変なところにこだわるんだから。律儀っていうか、キザっていうか。
何？律儀さでは負けている。何しろよくわからないことのためによくわからない連中と命を張り合うのだからな。まったく無関係にも程がある。君の義教は買うわね。これではおいそれと貸しも作れない。
そうね。本当に高くついた右服だったかな。
She focuses on the enemy. Her magic crest spins up halfway to full capacity, setting her magic to half the maximum power. There's a long way to go after all. She has no choice but to fight on the bridge and to the bitter end. Right until the rainbow hanging in the sky vanishes.
衝撃は譲る。そちらの先生で群れの戦闘をなぎ払った直後、橋に降りる。あとは持久戦だ。君はここから列の腹に穴を開け続け、私は魔術奏者から逃れた連中を切り伏せる。何か問題はあるか、リン？
異論はないわ。私とアーチャーの二段構えでも抜け出るやつが出てくるだろうけど、それは無視して。私たちの役割は大軍の殲滅。細かい取りこぼしなんて目の前の敵がいなくなってから考えることよ。
There's no telling how many corpses will break through this formation. And there'll probably be some that will swim across the river and head into Shinto on their own. But those are still less than 1 in 1,000. The outliers will have to be taken care of by those who walk the sky.
ま、おせっかい焼きなら他にもいそうだし、細かいのはそっちに任せるとしましょう。
Her crest is filling with light. Nimbly, she releases the magical energy and magecraft stored in the gems in the shortest time possible.
セット
A huge flower blossoms from the dark stained ground. The magic blaze lifts the curtains in the battle, turning into a star on Earth. It illuminates a path to the sky. Oh! The serpent's fangs pulverize the corpses. The forehead, the throat, the heart, and the spine. It is an iron fist that strikes at each of these spots with precision and lightning speed. If this is a swarm of the dead, then standing in its way is the embodiment of a fierce god. The dead that's crawled out of Kageyama shall meet death once more and be driven back to hell. 3 fatal strikes in the span of one breath. Reinforced through magic, his fists turn into iron clubs which crush the faces of the dead. But those are just superficial wounds. In spite of losing their faces and their intestines, their fierce claws don't stop coming. They were dead to begin with, and what powers them is not the heart and mind, but rather plain malice. Their mad rampage to fulfill their curse will only end when their bodies are wholly annihilated.
アサシン
Oh,
なに礼には及ばずだ宗一郎。殴ってもひるまぬ、切っても死なぬ相手では互いに分が悪かろうよ。
I take it Caster gave him enough magic to be able to leave his temple grounds. A light-hearted tone, completely out of place for this battleground. Moonlight reflecting off the 5-foot-long sword in his hands, the samurai steps into the swarm of the dead. The tip of his sword dances in the air. The corpses likely realize they have been sliced only after they fall to the ground.
さすがに手足を断たれては動けぬと見た。宗一郎、面倒だが首より獅子を狙うとしよう。一撃必殺の心情には反するが、なに、デク相手にはちょうどよい。
Flowers and grass. Their ways are different, but words are not required between two masters of their arts. Intersecting, the fist and blade engage the enemies and overwhelm them. Their backs against each other, sprinting through the battlefield. These two gods of death continue to overwhelm the dead.
しかし、どういう気変わりかな、宗一郎。昨べまでは見逃していたというのに、今宵はムクロどもに打って出るとは。いや、さてはこの異常事態、お主の魔女めの失態か。
知らん。飽きたのなら眠れアサシン。これは眠りにつけば消える亡霊だ。夢中にいる者には何の危害も与えない。
Therefore, he had overlooked these shadows roaming the streets at night until today. But that still makes no sense. If what he says is true, then all he has to do is simply sleep tonight as always. No matter what their number is, there's no changing the fact that they won't harm humans in bed.
ほう。ではなぜこのような手間を取る。先に行くか後に戻るかは分からぬが、おとなしく眠れば日々に戻れるというのに。
そうだな。だがこの戦いはあれの願いだ。聞き届けないわけにはいかないだろう。
Oh wait, are they fighting in the temple grounds? I thought they were with Tosaka, that's why. Assassin's long sword drops ever so slightly. The samurai looks stunned as if taken by surprise.
そうかそうか、それは確かに。お主に甘えるなど一生できぬと思っていたが、少しは改心したと見えるな、キャスター。いやはや、なかなかどうして可愛らしいところもあるではないか。
お黙りなさい、このデクノボ。
Arrows of light rain down from the sky. The witch's hammer turns into a squall and washes the dark away.
おお、やはり化粧には下法が効くと見える。本領発揮だな、キャスター。今宵の猫かぶり、格段生き生きと見える。
減らず口はそこまでになさい、アサシン。あなたの役目は マスターの援護と言ったはず。それすらできないのなら群がる雑魚と一緒に焼き払って差し上げてよ。
怒るな怒るな。宗一郎と共に戦うのがお前の念願であろう。お前同様、マスターの喜びは私の喜びでな。お前が嬉しいのであれば私も嬉しいのだ。とあれば多少の羽目は外すというもの。なあ、男として無理なきことだろう宗一郎。お主も珍しく拳に力が入っているではないか。
すまん。連れ合いの手前だ。手は抜けろ。迷惑をかけるぞキャスター。
Both of them were bewildered. Those that know him would surely realize just how unusual it is to hear such a remark.
キャスター、新手だ。竜道寺を守りきるか、元凶を塞ぎに行くか、どちらにせよ話し込む暇はないようだ。指示は任せる。お前の望む通り戦おう。こんな機会はおそらくは二度とはあるまい。
宗一郎様。
That's why you should have no regrets, is what he wanted to say. Kuzuki Soichiro embraces her will, to which accepts the end of days, albeit with such regret in her heart.
ええ、承知していますマスター。ここからは迷いなく自らの願いに沿いましょう。
The bells in her staff ring out. The magus from the Age of God starts weaving an even more mysterious spell.
で、どうするのだキャスター。このままでは飽きるぞ。どうだ、いっそ大元を潰しに行くというのは。
外に出られないあなたが言うことではないわねアサシン。第一、そこまで手を貸す義理もないわ。私はこの場所を守れればいいだけ。恥知らずにも人の家に土足で上がり込むチリアクタに身の程をわきまえさせているだけよ。
A black shadow keeps spreading. Born behind the mountain, many of them descend the mountain towards Miyama. Some of the corpses, pushed by the horde, pour even into Ryudo Temple. Nobody hates that more than Castor. Had she wanted to just protect herself, all she had to do was seal her master and herself in the temple. A boundary field to ward off the bodies would have been sufficient for just the two of them. However, on some unknown whim, she did something completely illogical. On their way to Miyama, these black stains had detoured into Ryudo Temple by chance. Castor burned all of them to ashes, not sparing a single one. As a result, having sent an obstacle in their path, they began concentrating on the temple.
当然よ。町のことなんてどうでもいいけど、この家に踏み入った以上は私の敵。ええ、遠慮なく焼き払ってあげるわアベンジャー。それがあなたの望みでしょうし。
A divine aria spreads along the empty sky. Not only is it more than enough to protect the whole of Ryudo Temple, it is a spell well capable of punching a hole in the very foundation they came from.
正直な話、できるならもっと続けたかった。私の八つ当たりと知りなさい。
The witch protecting Ryudo Temple burns away the corpses heading for the town. Even if their numbers are unlimited, the annihilated ones will not come back immediately. Like a burst of divine punishment, the sorcery continues tearing the pandemonium apart. But the outpouring black stain still does not stop. The corpses seemingly cover half the earth. This place will be protected no matter what, and the bridge shall greet the start of a new day undefeated as well.
けれど、宮山町はどうにもならない。頑張ってるようだけど、あの子たちはここまでね。
Heaving a sigh of pity or maybe compassion, the witch looks down at the town below. She is looking at the northern part of Miyama, like the eye of a needle. A tiny clearing remains around the traditional residents standing there. The wave of corpses trying to swallow the Emiya residents whole. Even one such as Servant Ryder cannot repel this onslaught on her own. Had it only been a single wave, she could have used her noble phantasm to sweep them away, or petrify them with her mystic eyes. But this enemy is unlimited. Employing her noble phantasm or mystic eyes consumes large amounts of magical energy. She may hold the upper hand for a while, but as her reserves run dry, she will become unable to offer barely any resistance at all.
Ryder! Ushiro!
Ryder's hair flows, reacting to her master's voice. Her blade and claws clash. She has nowhere to escape after leaping to the back. The corpses, having invaded over the stone walls, attack Ryder as if competing for an achievement. With her speed, she can slip through one or two of these claws easily. But these claws surround Ryder like a dense forest of spears.
Sakura!
That's pretty cool, I like that. The previously unstoppable Ryder abruptly comes to a halt. The magic being employed now is by her master, Mato Sakura. Even Sakura is still a magus and uses magic once or twice shouldn't warrant any surprise. However, the kind performed just now was the one that Mato Sakura detests the most. Was it not taboo for her to draw on her innermost dark self, bearing her dark side akin to a blade?
いけません。魔力そのものを武器にする魔術など、あなたにはまだ早い。彼らは私が迎撃します。あなたは室内で結界を維持してください。
The anxious voice makes for another fatal opening. The swarm of the dead pounce on the still servant.
声は祈りに。私の指は大地を削る。
A vast shadow skewers the intruders as if they were fog, capturing and swallowing them into the world below. That is the side of her she should have possessed as a magus. The vortex of darkness has no trouble sweeping the dead back to where they came from, the underworld. To be able to bind opponents with invisible uncertainties, that is the special trait of the imaginary number of magic.
さくら。
大丈夫。これぐらいなら扱えます。心配はしないでライダー。私だって半年間少しずつ頑張ってきたんだから。
Straining her voice as if trying to encourage herself, she manages to keep her trembling legs and body about to rip apart from the magic recoil in check. Does she respect her master's decision and continue defending this place, or does she take Sakura and flee elsewhere? There's still time to escape. With her noble phantasm, Ryder can carry Mato Sakura to Shinto in the blink of an eye. In spite of that,
ライダーは塀の守りに専念して。中に入ってきたのは私が追い返すから。
she retains her faith in Sakura, who is now holding her ground desperately against the enemy and turns to her own battlefield. Originally, Mato Sakura does not have the foundation to perform magic on her own. By forcing her own darkness, her magic circuits that can emit nothing but her shadow to the surface, she is able to function as a magus temporarily. By doing that, she is crushing the human side of her. In that state, she may as well be swallowed by her dark side, if her heart wavers even a little. Ashamed and fearful of that more than anything, she grits her teeth and continues on.
声は祈りに。私の指は大地を削る。
Thinking about it, this conflict could have been avoided. No, it should have been avoided to begin with. The remains of her servant enveloped the town. Night after night, these things were bursting out and overwhelming the place. Ryder sensed that immediately. But she didn't even put up a fight. They would simply pass those who are asleep. Indulge in sleep as usual, and they will disappear by the time their morning rolls around.
死は確かに。私の影は剣を振るう。
Every time she repeats her aria, she languishes more and more in the pain. She spits out words as if they were blood. I won't lose. A frail but powerful voice.
ないと。私はここに。
On this night, before they realize, Ryder and Sakura were alone in the Emiya residence to greet the midnight end. The ones who advanced forward and the ones who defend, saying nothing, they headed to their respective posts, leaving only Sakura behind. I won't lose. The despair Sakura felt when she realized it was excruciating. She was alone again. Having been left on the sidelines away from danger, she was dejected at the thought of being the only one under protection. Thus she made her choice, to stay back here and fight, to protect the home of someone precious.
そうだ。私は置いていかれたんじゃない。私は信頼されてここを任されたんだから。
Even if she can't, she'll still try to protect it to the bitter end. How could Ryder possibly pluck off this tiny emotion out of care for her master?
まあ実際置いていかれたわけですが。
ダメ！くじけそうになる発言は禁止！ほら、ライダー銅像！銅像の方にいっぱい上がってきてるから！
The purple serpent slithers swiftly up the wall. Ryder intercepts the avalanche of attacking creatures. The black flame protects her back. As the only Magus remaining here, the girl that was left behind confronts the swarming corpses. Their trivial defenses will probably last for another hour. Only 1 hour. This is but a drop in the bucket that will have no influence on the big picture. Sooner or later, the girl's determination will be swallowed by darkness. Unfortunately, these corpses lack any kind of intellect. If they could think, they would surely sneer at such desperate defense. They would realize there's nothing to be gained here, and will concentrate on the front lines instead. Though she still has more than half of her strength and magical energy left, the girl is gradually forced into a corner. Which is no surprise. These overwhelming numbers come from an infinite sea of malice. Her mind would snap before her strength fades. That is the obvious conclusion. She feels as if under a pouring rain. Mixed in with the haul of sneers and killing intent, she begins to hear the sound of the unavoidable end, though she is unsure whether it is a thunder or tremors. Not satisfied with the mere swarm of the dead, a battering ram hits her with the force of a runaway train. Her purple lips from the word run. With this, cremation follows the bitter fight. All that's left is to pray that her foolish determination would not be swayed by the shrieks on her deathbed. And then... And then... As a new lead enters the stage, foolishness changes into reassurance. She looks too enthused. A violent, devastating force. The little girl and the giant mow down obstacles to their heart's content. With each swipe, corpses fly in the sky and the Emiya residence loses more of its walls. It is hardly surprising that Riders at a loss for words. They no longer seem to be allies. The girl and the giant are here just to cause destruction. A charming smile. Even now, as corpses are being pulverized around her, the little girl looks as if in the middle of a ballroom. Her words make Mato Sakura's mind go blank. Dumbstruck, her eyes are nothing but tiny dots, and yet her spirit that had been about to break lifts up its head once more.
イリアさん、それはどういう。受けに回ってる限り勝てないってこと。知ってる？リンはさっさと最前線に移動して一番いいところを独り占めしてるんだから。こんなところで無駄に意地を張ってるよりずっと劇的で高得点な位置づけってわけ。それって高得点というより一番厳しい状況なんじゃ。同じことよ。でも結局はリンだって守ってるだけだし、それってまだるっこしいでしょ。本拠地が分かってるんだからそこを潰した方が早いし、何より姉さんよりポイント高いですか？そういうこと。私は行くわ。たどり着けるかどうかはわからないけどリンにばかり任せておけないもの。さくらはどうする？一緒に行く？
A wordless reply. After hesitating, she gulps and looks back at the little girl.
それじゃあ行くわ。さあ一度きりの見せ場よ、バーサーカー。遠慮はなし。立ちふさがるのはみんな壊してあなたの強さを見せつけなさい。
The runaway train picks up speed again. Following her guide, the giant plunges into the black snowy field. The destination is its source. They head towards the overflowing graveyard without knowing whether they will arrive there or not. Even if they cannot achieve their goal, the impact of their actions is no longer but a drop. It is a ripple that will now sway in the big picture. The interlude continues. A few light glows in the dark. A resistance so small as to be immeasurable, they take upon themselves to stop the dark horde. In the end, it's nothing more than just putting a band-aid on an open wound. The wound will not close. Despite all their efforts, they cannot stop the end from coming. No matter how desperately the bridge is being defended, there is no way to prevent the corpses from landing in Shinto. It's been 1 hour since the manifestation of the pandemonium. The creatures that penetrate the defenses scatter away like black dots and begin to roam around Shinto. The best of their efforts are still insufficient. That is a steep price for the peace and tranquility of everyday life. Thus, there is but a single way left. For the few teams of masters and servants keeping the advancing corpses in check. Without the strength to fight against the entirety of the creatures, they'll have no chance to greet the new dawn. That is too much to ask for. On this night when almost everyone is asleep, where could such a savior be found? The loud choir of corpses sing of victory. Back to the start. Smiling, they rush towards the moon's altar, the path winding all the way to the moon. But...
ストップ。いい時間なんだからもう少し静かにしてくれない？子供はおとなしく寝ている時間なのに、これじゃあうるさくて眠れないよ。
An impossible force exists here. Entering Shinto, the corpses head towards the tower. They couldn't possibly know. If the creatures that envelop the city are like a big wave, then he is like a typhoon. An incarnation of savagery itself. It will blow away anyone of lesser will. Kid Gil. The boy is enveloped in a peculiar scent. Silver ashes at his feet. The swirling aroma enshrouds the young man in the enemy like smoke.
やあ、どこの何かは聞かないけど、こんばんは。こんな夜更けに大勢で出かけるなんて、何か大きな催し物でもあるのかな。
The boy stays exceedingly calm. In spite of the outpouring of creatures from the underworld rushing towards him, there is not a trace of timidity in him. Instead, his innocent visage, resembling that of an angel.
まあ、どんなイベントだろうと興味はないんだけど。それよりリーダーはみんなだよね。どいつもこいつも測ったように同じ顔だし。
困ったな。こういうのってリーダーが責任を取るものでしょ。群れ全体の失態は頭をすげ替えることで解決するものなんだけど。